You remember it perfectly. The color of the walls, the exact words someone said, the way the light came through the window that day. You'd swear on it. But here's the strange part. That memory has probably never played the same way twice. Not because it faded, because every single time you remembered it, your brain quietly rewrote it. This isn't about forgetting. Forgetting is simple. This is something stranger, something scientists didn't fully understand until surprisingly recently. Your brain doesn't store memories like files on a hard drive, waiting to be opened unchanged. It rebuilds them from scratch every time you recall them. And during that rebuild, they're vulnerable, editable, open to change. So here's the question we're sitting with. If remembering something changes it, can you ever really trust what you remember? For most of the 20th century, scientists believed memory worked in two stages. First, something happens to you. Your brain processes it. Then within a few hours, that memory gets locked in, consolidated, filed away permanently in long-term storage. Once it was filed, the thinking went, it stayed put, like a photograph developed and placed in an album. This idea made sense. It matched how memory felt from the inside. You don't feel your memories shifting day to day. The past feels solid. Then in the year 2000, a researcher named Karim Nader ran an experiment that didn't fit the model at all. He worked with rats that had been trained to fear a specific sound. Every time they heard it, they froze, because they'd learned to associate that sound with something unpleasant. This fear memory had been consolidated, locked in according to the old model. Nader played the sound again so the rats would recall the fear. But right after triggering that memory, he gave them a drug that blocks the brain from creating new memory connections. If the old model was right, nothing should have happened. The memory was already stored. It shouldn't matter what you do after it's been recalled. But something did happen. The rats forgot to be afraid. The fear memory hadn't just been recalled, it had been reopened. And while it was open, blocking the right brain chemistry erased it, as if it had never been consolidated in the first place. This was the first solid evidence for something now called memory reconsolidation. The idea that recalling a memory doesn't just play it back, it unlocks it, puts it back into an unstable, editable state. And then the brain has to consolidate it all over again before it becomes stable once more. Every time you remember something, you're not retrieving the original, you're rebuilding it. And whatever happens during that rebuild becomes part of the memory going forward. If this were only true for lab rats and fear responses, it would be interesting but distant. It isn't. Around the same period, a psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus was uncovering something just as unsettling in humans, using a much simpler method. She just asked people about their childhoods. In one well-known study, researchers gave adult participants short written accounts of real childhood memories, provided by their own family members. But hidden among the true stories was one that never happened, a detailed but entirely fictional account of getting lost in a shopping mall as a child, crying, and being rescued by an elderly stranger. A surprising number of participants didn't just accept the fake memory, they elaborated on it. They added details that were never in the original story. What the stranger looked like, how scared they'd felt. Some became emotional, describing an event that had never occurred. They weren't lying. As far as their brains were concerned, they were remembering. This tells you something important about how fragile the reconsolidation window really is. It's not just open to correction, it's open to invention. If new information, even false information, arrives while a memory is being reassembled, that information can get woven into the memory itself, indistinguishable from what actually happened. You'd expect the most vivid, emotionally intense memories to be the exception. Surely you'd remember exactly where you were and what you felt during a truly shocking event. Researchers studying what are called flashbulb memories, using events like the September 11th attacks, found the opposite. People were extremely confident about their memories of that day, where they were standing, who told them the news, what the room looked like. That confidence barely dropped over the following years, but the accuracy did drop. When researchers compared people's accounts recorded shortly after the event to the same people's accounts years later, the details had shifted substantially, even though the people telling them had no idea anything had changed. Confidence and accuracy had quietly split apart. So the picture becomes stranger, not simpler. The most emotionally powerful memories, the ones that feel most permanently burned into your mind, may be exactly the ones getting revised the most. Because strong emotion is one of the things that most reliably reopens a memory for reconsolidation every time you think about it. At this point, it's worth asking why. Why would a brain evolve to work this way? A filing system that occasionally rewrites its own files sounds like a design flaw, not a feature. Here's where the story turns. Researchers exploring the reconsolidation window found something important. It isn't random corruption, it's an opportunity. Every time a memory is reopened, the brain has a chance to update it using information that wasn't available when the memory was first formed. Think about what that's actually useful for. Imagine you form a memory that a certain food made you sick. Later, you learn it was something else entirely that caused the illness. If memories were truly frozen once formed, that correction would be much harder to make. But because recalling a memory reopens it, your brain can revise the association, updating outdated or incorrect information with what you've since learned. This has been studied directly in a different way using a drug called propranolol, which is normally prescribed for blood pressure. Researchers gave the drug to people right after they recalled a distressing memory, timed to interfere with the reconsolidation process. In several studies, this weakened the emotional intensity of the memory going forward without erasing the memory's factual content. The person still knew what happened. They just felt less overwhelmed remembering it. That single result reframes everything. Memory reconsolidation isn't a glitch. It's closer to a built-in editing tool, one your brain uses constantly, mostly without your awareness, to keep old information relevant to your present. Not a photograph in a drawer, but a document that gets reopened, lightly revised, and resaved every time you read it. This has consequences far outside a research lab. Courtrooms lean heavily on eyewitness testimony, treating a confident, detailed memory as strong evidence. But confidence has almost nothing to do with accuracy. And every time a witness recalls the event, that memory becomes reconsolidated with whatever information arrived in the meantime, including a detective's leading question or a conversation with another witness. This is now one of the most well-documented causes of wrongful convictions. Therapists treating trauma have started working with reconsolidation directly rather than around it. Instead of trying to suppress or avoid a traumatic memory, some approaches deliberately reactivate it under controlled, safe conditions, aiming to update its emotional weight while the memory is briefly unlocked. And on a smaller, more personal level, this explains something everyone has lived through. The argument with a sibling or a partner about what really happened years ago, where both people are completely certain and both are describing something different. Neither one is necessarily lying. Both memories may have been genuinely, invisibly edited every single time either person told the story. So go back to that memory you started with. The room, the light, the exact words someone said. It's not fake. Something like it really happened. But the version living in your mind right now isn't a recording of that day. It's the latest draft, shaped by every single time you've opened it back up, and without knowing it, revised it a little. That might sound like a loss, a reason to trust yourself a little less. But consider the alternative. A mind that could never update its own past would be stuck reliving outdated fears, outdated grudges, outdated versions of people who have since changed. The same mechanism that makes your memory unreliable is the one that makes you capable of growing past your own history. You are not a fixed record of everything that happened to you. You are a living, editable story, and that may be exactly what allows you to become someone new. If you find scientific discoveries like this fascinating, don't forget to like this video, and for more videos like this one, subscribe to this channel. Every video we make takes something hidden inside human nature, something your brain has been doing quietly your whole life, and brings it into the light. Until next time, stay curious, my friend.